managed sleep problems since I was 9 years old. For a long time, my folks thought I was imagining things and never took it seriously. Since I'm only a kid, I spent most of my childhood alone and had only my own bedroom. Though I received undivided attention from my loving parents, I dreaded nighttime, since I didn't know what I was going to see. My sleep issues affected me negatively for a long time, since I had a lot of doubts about myself. I found myself keeping my distance from others due to low self-esteem. When I became a teenager, my condition worsened since I started seeing different figures in my room at night. When I told my mother, she took me to a preacher who concluded that I was demon-possessed. When I was 23, I started researching this and found out that I had sleep paralysis. I still remember my worst experience as if it happened yesterday. I felt 3 men in my room in the middle of the night. I tried to move my body and reach for my phone, but this was impossible. One by one, the men started penetrating me, and I couldn't scream for help. My bed started shaking and my body was numb. When I finally managed to move and switch on the lights, these men suddenly disappeared. 2019 was a difficult year for me. I changed careers and managed to get out of a toxic relationship. I wanted to start afresh and in a different town and got the perfect house to do it. Though small, I was sure that my new house would bring me the peace that I was looking for. The change was exciting at first, but this feeling did not last for very long. The first night I slept in the house became my last, since I was convinced that it was haunted by demons. At 9 p.m., I had already finished unpacking and took a warm bath in my new tub, ready for bed. It took me 30 minutes to fall asleep, but this lasted for less than 3 hours. I found myself awake before midnight. My eyes were wide open, and a very vivid shadow was standing next to my bedside with its arms wide open. The human shadow had a knife in its hand and was ready to attack. Though I couldn't see its face, the shadow kept on getting bigger and moving towards my bed. Since my body was so tired from all the work I'd done moving into the house, nothing seemed to work. The thought of somebody trying to kill me crossed my mind, but I couldn't move my body to defend myself. I was so terrified and was struggling to catch my breath. There was this pressure on my chest that seemed to last forever. When I was finally able to reach for the lights, the shadow suddenly vanished. I couldn't sleep anymore and called a friend who came over to my new house immediately. The next morning we went to her house, but the shadow figure followed me there. It was now clear that the new house was not haunted after all. This has to be sleep demons, I thought. I always assumed that people who experienced hallucinations belonged to a psychiatric facility. This perception changed when it started happening to me. I never sleep with my door closed, but on this particular day, I felt my door and windows open all of a sudden in the middle of the night. My eyes were open, and I could see my neighbor's rooftop from my bed. On top of the rooftop were 2 men that were dressed in black suits, standing facing my window. They looked as if they were talking to one another, and then they pointed at me. I could tell that they were discussing on how they were going to abduct me, and I could only assume that they were aliens based on their dressing. When I made eye contact with them, terror rippled through me, and my ears started ringing. It took them seconds to fly to my window and into my room, and at this point, the intense pressure in my head made me feel as if it was about to explode. This was not the worst part, since I suddenly started feeling my body elevating from the bed. I couldn't control my body and I was unable to scream for help. After a few minutes, when I was completely conscious, the aliens disappeared, and I wasn't levitating anymore. I consulted a doctor who diagnosed me with sleep paralysis. Though sleeping after that incident was scary, the aliens never came back. According to reports, more than 7% of the human population has experienced sleep paralysis at some point in life. For me, it's a condition that I've been fighting for a very long time. Before I got a divorce, I was so used to sleeping beside my husband that sleeping alone was terrifying. One night, when I was half awake, I imagined a demon in my closet. My closet is exactly opposite my bed, and it's the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning. That night, I was so sure there was a demon hiding in there. At some point, I could even feel it moving and speaking silently. Though I couldn't understand what it was saying, I was sure I was not alone in that room. Due to the sleep paralysis, I couldn't move any of my body muscles and remained on my bed staring at the closet in intense fear. My closet had a crack on the top and I noticed someone looking through the gap. I'll never forget the weird smile that I saw through that crack, and at this point, I was convinced it was a demon. The noise from the closet started getting louder, and the next thing I saw still terrifies me up till now. The doors of my closet started opening, and the demon threw the human head of a person I knew on me. I tried to scream, but I couldn't produce any noise. This lasted for a few minutes, and then I gained control of my body and woke up. From that day on, I sleep next to my daughter in her room due to the trauma. Do you sometimes wake up in the morning and try to speak or move and you can't? Well, you're not alone. This condition is called sleep paralysis. Like most guys, I used to think it was some demonic thing until I started researching more about it. This was after I was having sleep issues for years. One of the creepiest experiences that I'll never forget is when I saw a cat in my room one night. It had red eyes and weird-looking fur. The cat was bigger than regular cats and made some strange noises. Instead of the regular meow sounds that you'd get from a cat, this one was mumbling like a person. I couldn't exactly tell what it was saying, but I was so terrified. I almost wet my bed. I was sleeping on the side, and I tried to move to scare it away, but I couldn't. This cat kept on approaching my bed and soon jumped up on it. At this point, I felt a lot of pressure pushing on my chest, and there wasn't anything I could do about it. Though I usually sleep in my pajamas, I imagined being in my bed naked, and the cat started rubbing its fur against my skin, and still I couldn't make a sound. When I was finally able to move, I called my cousin who was sleeping next door, and he came running, and we looked for this cat for more than an hour, but it was in vain. There was no cat in my room. We didn't even own a cat. This incident has made me fear cats up until now. Even though I don't know if it was real or not, I can't stay in a house with cats.